Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. This has been an exciting morning thus far. We are so glad that you're here. My name is Tim Peterson. I work in the Laureate Clinic as a supervisor and part-time therapist. And I've known David for over 30 years. And he has been working here at Laureate and is kind of winding down. He thinks he's kind of slowing down and maybe doing he's doing some part-time practice in the community with Crossroads Counseling and Consulting, but he's been still seeing clients just one day a week here. David is a licensed psychologist and a licensed marriage and family therapist. He grew up in the Black Hills of South Dakota. He loves this chilly weather. He came to Tulsa way back last millennium in 1968 to attend Oral Roberts University. He received degrees in Business and Sociology while he was there, and then went on to get his M.Div. And then later decided to go back to school and get his Ph.D. in psychology from Oklahoma State University. And that's where I had the opportunity to hire him coming out of his first year of I guess he had a year of pre-doc, and then he came here and was able to do his postdoctorate supervision, and I hired him at Brookhaven Hospital when I was the program director there, and he did a great job working with our clients inpatient while he was working toward that final licensure. He has worked professionally with people since 1972, either in business ministry or mental health. He served as on church boards as deacon for over 25 years. He's been married for 50 years. He has 3 adult children, 6 grandchildren. This guy loves the outdoors, anything outdoors. He loves hockey and hunting, football, American and European style. And he also does like Stanley Cup playoffs, not playing, but as a fan, March Madness. And he is a delight. He is unassuming. The more you get to know him, the more you can appreciate his sense of humor. And we're just really glad that you decided to present for us, David. And I hope that you all enjoy the presentation. This is Dr. David Wakefield.
Thank you, Tim. Oh, sound check. Can everybody hear me okay? Tim disappeared. I was going to recommend that he hire a different tumbling coach for Nancy to help her get those landings better. He's not here, so we'll do that later. Okay, my goals today are to discuss head, heart, humor, and healing. This is going to be like a Judas ministry. Jesus told Judas, whatever you do, go out and do quickly. So we're going to do this quickly this morning. I don't intend to offend anyone with the humor I've selected. If I thought it would have, I would have selected it. But if I do, I apologize in advance. That was not my intent. It just means that our sense of humor is different. And most important goal is to stop talking before you stop listening. Two takeaways that I'd like you to take from this today is one, that you'd be encouraged on some level, and the other is that you'd have a take-home value. That's something about this presentation you can integrate into your life and make your ministry and life better. So this is a riddle we're going to start off with. Don't blurt out the answer. Just raise your hand if you know it. This was presented by Paul Harvey years and years ago. But here's the riddle. What is greater than God, more evil than the devil? The poor have it, the rich need it, and if you eat it, you will die. Anybody know? Okay, 2. Anybody else? Okay, you guys that know it, you want to share the answer? Nothing. Yeah, this is the answer right. This is the answer right here.
That's great.
What is greater than God? Nothing. What's more evil than the devil? Nothing. The poor have it. Nothing. The rich need it. Nothing. If you eat nothing, you will die. Okay, got our heads warmed up. I want to talk this morning about Proverbs 17:22. In no way is this an intent to be an exegetical presentation, but Proverbs 17:22 says, a cheerful heart is good medicine, but a broken spirit saps a person's strength. See if I can get to this. This is from Dry Bar Comedy. Jesus had a sense of humor.
Local names, and Aaron, when my wife, she wanted that. I wanted to go with, Elijah, right, or Isaac. You guys, those. You talk, but I did. I wanted to go with that name, and she was like Aaron, and I'm like Aaron. Okay, yeah. There's only one Aaron in the Bible. Who remembers Aaron was actually the brother of Moses, right? He was the brother of Moses, and when Moses, God told him, hey, go to Egypt, set my people free, right? And in the Bible, he's like, well, I can't speak. He said, because Moses had a stutter, okay? This is the Bible, right? And he said, so get your brother Aaron, he'll be your spokesman, right? And I'm like, wow. So we grew up, I just watched this recently, Charlton Heston, we grew up watching Moses, and he's up there with he go, let my people go, right? And in reality, he was like, let my yeah, black people, it's in the Bible, I swear. He was. His brother was like, let my peppers grow! Okay, let my people go! Come on! And why do you think the Ten Commandments were written down on stone, right? Yeah, you see it? God's like, okay, I'm going to give you 10 commandments. I want you to remember these, okay? Repeat them back to me, okay? Thou shalt not kill. Okay, let's write it down. Okay, this is... See? I think they're just funny things, all in the Bible, and there's funny things in life. And a lot of people ask me, they're like, is your dad really a pastor? And I'm like, yeah, I grew up in church, And they said, what does he think about you doing comedy? And I'm like, well, look, I personally believe that Jesus Christ is exactly who he said he was, okay? And I believe that it says he came so we can have abundant life, okay? So you can clap. No, sorry, she's clapping. You clap. Yeah, and one part of this abundant life is humor, right? And I know Jesus had a sense of humor. He had to have had a sense of humor, okay? He hung out with 12 guys, okay? Some of you have seen it, right? He came to earth, he was 100% man and 100% God. He became us, right? And so I know, if you're with a group of guys, they were all in their late 20s, early 30s, they were saying stuff like, let's throw Jesus in the lake again. Let's see if he gets wet this time. That happened. I wasn't sure how this joke was going to go, but we're going to keep going with this. Right? And what's one thing guys always do when we're together? There's no women around, it always happens. What is it? Someone say it. Thank you, fart. Yes. Yeah. I've never had someone answer that quick. Fart! Okay, thank you. And it was a girl. We do, right? I'm thinking about it. It's natural. You can't tell me one of the disciples didn't go, hey, Jesus, pull my finger. It happened. If you're not laughing right now, that's not a sin. You eat fish and loaves, you're going to get gas. Okay? You see him sitting around the campfire, all of a sudden, Jesus, that wasn't me. That was Peter. Yes, it was. Oh, he'll deny it 3 times. Yeah, Thomas doesn't believe anything, and Judas is going to tell someone, I'm sure. And if you didn't get those references, there's a little book you want to check out.
Oh, how do we get at this top?
On the right drawer, there's it's right next to the hotel.
Okay.
Minimize it.
Thank you, minimize. Perfect.
Very flat.
Thank you. Computers are not my forte, that is for sure. Ran into this verse, having devotion several months ago with Luke 10:21. Says, then Jesus was filled with joy of the Holy Spirit. A couple days ago, I ran into this one in Psalms 4:7. He says, you'll put gladness in my heart. So a broken spirit saps a person's strength. A broken spirit relates to feelings of inadequacy. I'm starting with the last half of Proverbs 17:22 first. relates to feelings of inadequacy. One doesn't feel like they meet expectations or they don't feel like they are enough. When a person's spirit is broken, they often feel like they aren't deserving of joy or happiness. It's a feeling of total emotional defeat. The Barna Group is a private, non-Protestant, for-profit organization under the umbrella of ISCAR companies located in California. Barna has been conducting and analyzing primary research to understand cultural trends related to values, beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors since 1984. His research showed in 2021, this was done, that 30% of pastors have thought about quitting full-time ministry in the past year. This was the results from the October poll. This is up from 29% of the poll that he took in January of 2021. Recent data from Barna's pastoral poll indicates that U.S. pastors are currently in crisis and at risk for burnout. His results show that 46% of pastors under the age of 45 say they are considering quitting, compared to 34% for pastors 45 and older. Keeping the right leaders encouraged in a ministry role will be crucial to the next decade of congregational vitality in the U.S. Pastors from mainline denominations, 51%, are far more likely to consider quitting than those from non-mainline denominations, 34%. Female pastors are far more likely than male pastors who have considered giving up full-time ministry. 33% of pastors who are considering resignation have been in ministry for about 20 years, but have been at their current church for 7 years. Only 1 in 3 pastors is considered healthy in terms of well-being. October data showed that many pastors are not faring well in multiple categories of well-being, including spiritual well-being, physical well-being, emotional well-being, vocational well-being, and financial well-being. Barna defined healthy pastors as those who score themselves either excellent or good in all 6 of the well-being categories. Average is defined as scoring excellent or good in at least half of the categories. Unhealthy is defined as scoring excellent or good on less than half of the well-being categories. The results of those pastors polled were 35% healthy, 41% average, and 24% unhealthy. The categories of well-being are relational well-being, spiritual, physical, emotional, vocational, and financial well-being. Overall, pastors who are contemplating quitting are less healthy in all the well-being categories compared to pastors who are not considering giving up full-time ministry. David Kinnaman, the president of Barna Group, says, "We started seeing early signs of burnout before COVID began, with initial warning signs beginning in the State of the Pastors research study that they took in 2017. Now, after 18 months of the pandemic, along with intense congregational divisions and financial strain, an alarming percentage of pastors are experiencing significant burnout, driving them to seriously consider leaving ministry." Nehemiah 8:10 says, "Don't be dejected and sad, for the joy of the Lord is your strength." Therefore, pastors need to proactively guard their health and well-being, taking a holistic assessment of how they're doing. Kinnaman continues, "More than ever, the church needs resilient leaders who are humble, agile, rooted in prayer, and who are committed to being healthy as an essential aspect of effective leadership. Resiliency is the ability to recover readily from adversity of any kind. Emotional resiliency is the ability to adapt to stressful situations or crisis. It's one's ability to roll with the punches. The good news, there are ways to develop your ability to roll with the punches. Dr. Russ Newman says research has shown that resilience is not an extraordinary thing, but is rather ordinary and can be learned by almost anyone. Here's a resource if you're not aware of it. I think it'd be a good one. It's a book called The Resilient Pastor, Leading Your Church in a Rapidly Changing World by Glenn Packiam. That's Packiam. On top of all that, now we have people in the congregation who want to enter the church transfer portal. Okay, takes me a bit here. This is a guy who, him and his family are going to enter the church transfer portal.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming in. Yeah. Listen, I'm just gonna tell you, I'm gonna be honest with you, our family is gonna go ahead and enter the church transfer pool. Yeah, you know.
So the fun thing with the circuit is, how does the circuit talk? But what, and not only that, but why is the circuit to grow?
But what we've been at First Baptist for a long time. And, you know, Pastor Doug was the guy that originally recruited us when we moved to town. But with him, you know, rising with his Instagram following, he'd take the assistant job down at Elevation. We're also looking at options. I don't know, I just want to say it, I got to do what's best of myself and my family. Obviously, we're at a First Baptist currently. We'd rather not transfer in conference to another First Baptist church in town, but, you know, we're looking at all options. The other First Baptist in town, obviously they put up great numbers, but Easter and Christmas, we're going to have to compete against each other twice a year. So we're looking at other options. Obviously, the Woods Church has been, you know, a strong contributor for a long time. They told me as an elder, with my experience and the numbers I've been putting up, they said I can contribute on the elder board on week 1. So that's definitely an option that we're looking at. Obviously, Bethel, you know, everybody knows their worship numbers with the hand raised per person. That's top 10. That's going to qualify top 10 every single year, just with the energy and emotion that they can stir up from that congregation. Obviously, that's hard to compete with. And then you got Sacred Community. I mean, we submitted they looked at our tapes, and my wife has the highest, she's been doing the offering for what, 3 years now, the highest money per row reimbursement. They've been obviously looking at her, and then of course Freedom Church, with everything they've been doing with their new pastor. Obviously, a little bit non-denominational, not a lot of accountability over there, but you know what they're doing. From our family standpoint, I mean, obviously, you know, the numbers my wife can put up as the offering taker. I mean, my son is a redshirt freshman in the youth group, and he's shown flashes on Wednesday night dodgeball of the youth pastor said that he has shown flashes, especially as he continues to show up on Wednesday night, eat some Oreos and some Code Red. He's really going to bulk up, and you're going to see him improve, and especially a lot of leadership is going to be coming through, you know, coming senior year. And my daughter,
We will stop there to say
the
this
finger
over
paints
time.
and, you know, drawing outside the lines.
But you can see the whole thing at YouTube. Church transfer portal. So you guys have got a lot to deal with. So talk about resiliency skills. How many of you watched the football game last Sunday? Wasn't that a thriller? So Andy Reid told his quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, with 13 seconds left in the game and 75 yards to go to kick a tying field goal so they could go into overtime. He told Patrick, he said, when things look grim, be the Grim Reaper. So we're talking about a merry heart works like good medicine. So in Strong's, we're going to talk about the heart now. In Strong's exhaustive concordance, the word brain is not mentioned one time, but the word heart is listed at least 826 times. One's heart works without interruption for 70 to 80 years, without care or cleaning, without repair or replacement. Over 70 years, one's heart beats 100,000 times a day. Of course, this depends on your pulse rate. Approximately 40 million times a year, nearly 3 billion pulsations in a lifetime. One's heart pumps 2 gallons of blood per minute, or well over 100 gallons per hour. Through a vascular system about 60,000 miles in length, or over 2 times the circumference of the earth. The heart starts beating in an unborn fetus, check this out, before the brain is even formed. Autorhythmic is the word to indicate that the heartbeat is self-initiated from within the heart itself. Scientists don't know what triggers the heart to begin beating since the brain is not yet developed yet. I think the answer is found in Psalm 139, 13 and 14. You have made all the delicate inner parts of my body and knit me together in my mother's womb. Thank you for making me so wonderfully complex. Your workmanship is marvelous, and how well I know it. The timing of the heartbeat is thought to be controlled by the autonomic nervous system. The heart does not need a hardwired connection to the brain to keep beating. For example, when someone has a heart transplant, the nerves that run from the brain to the heart are severed, and surgeons don't know yet how to reconnect them. After surgeons have implanted the heart and restored its beat in a new person's chest, the heart keeps beating, though there's no longer any connection to the brain. The information I'm sharing about the heart came from the Heart Math Solution book. New scientific discoveries are giving us radically new and different view of the role of the heart in the human system. Evidence shows that the heart sends us emotional and intuitive signals to help us govern our lives. Many ancient cultures maintain that the primary organ responsible for influence and directing emotions, morality, and decision-making comes from the heart. The heart has its own independent nervous system, referred to as the brain in the heart. There are at least 40,000 neurons in the heart. This is as many as are found in various subcortical centers of the brain. Positive emotions such as happiness, appreciation, compassion, care, and love improve hormonal balance, improve immune system response, and more efficient brain function. We have an antibody called secretory IgA in our saliva and throughout our body. It's one of the first line of defense against pathogens, and it's an important measurement of immune system health. In a research study, subjects were asked to evoke a feeling of care and compassion for 5 minutes. Several days later, these same people were asked to feel 5 minutes of self-induced anger by remembering a situation in their lives that made them angry and recapturing that feeling of anger the best that they could. After 5 minutes of feeling care and compassion, the subjects had an immediate 41% average increase in their IgA levels. Over the next 6 hours, their IgA levels continued to slowly increase. But when subjects experienced anger, there was also an immediate increase of 18% in the IgA levels. But an hour later, their IgA levels had dropped to only half of what they were before they remembered the angry event. Even after 6 hours, their IgA levels were still not back to their normal level before feeling angry. One 5-minute experience of recalled anger and the effectiveness of our immune system is impaired for over 6 hours. Clearly, it takes a long time for our system to come back into balance once anger kicks in. Information sent from the heart to the brain can have profound effects on our higher brain centers. Our emotional states are reflected in our heart rhythms. Our heart rhythms affect the brain's ability to process information, make decisions, solve problems, and experience creativity. Because the heart is the strongest biological oscillator in the human system, the rest of the body's systems are pulled into harmony with the heart's rhythms. The heart's electromagnetic field is by far the most powerful field produced by the body. It's approximately 5,000 times greater in strength than that same field produced by the brain. The heart's field not only permeates every cell in the body, but also radiates outside of us. It can be measured 8 to 10 feet away with sensitive detectors called magnetometers. Electrical information patterns generated by the heart are detectable in our brain waves via electroencephalograms. This data provides evidence that there's a direct, energetic interaction between the electromagnetic field produced by the heart and that produced by the brain. When we focus attention on our heart, the synchronization between our heart and brain increases. Research indicates that energetic information contained in the heart's field isn't detected only by our own brain and body, but can also be registered by people around us. Empaths, or people who are highly intuitive, not only detect this energy, but also attitudes behind this energy. Empaths are super great at reading people's thoughts, energy, motivation, and desires beyond their words. So, more evidence that a merry heart works like a good medicine. This is a guy, talk about a resiliency skill, who's taken a severe physical problem and turned it into a resource. Okay, how do I okay?
Closed it earlier, closed your whole,
Tim, that thing at the bottom went away.
Okay, just click on that. Click on the link, and let's open it.
I'll let you drive. This thing went away.
period 2, but I don't think it's supposed to be there. But like,
Sorry?
track 2, there's a period where it says YouTube.
Yeah, that is
Is
there.
that normal?
Yeah, it's supposed to be there. Sure. Yeah, that's it right there.
I want all the booze and all the sex at the same time.
No, you don't.
Never go
Close your eyes.
slow, but it's all I have.
Samantha, I can see you.
Being a child, there was a lot less accountability.
Freeform single drunk email now streaming new episodes Friday. Question: would you build a website for a major brand with more than 200 million
There you
users?
go.
This has got to be the best
That's it.
Make-A-Wish ever.
Thank you very much.
You know, people always ask me if this bracelet is one of those copper magnetic healing bracelets. I'm like, oh, does that thing work? Like, oh yeah, man, I was in a wheelchair last week. This thing's been kicking some butt for me, man. I'm gonna put it on this arm next week. Actually, I better take it off soon, you know, I don't want to get too bitter. I might mess up a gig, you know. I have to tell corny white guy jokes. I don't know. Thank you, man. I gotta say, this has gotta be the best Make-A-Wish ever. Thanks for playing along. I'm sure you can all write this off. Yeah. It is fun, man. I love telling jokes. Do a lot of shows. I travel all over this beautiful country of ours, and I've been seeing more handicap accessible stuff going in everywhere. It's great, really well needed. But I gotta tell you, as a physically disabled person, I kind of feel obligated to use that stuff. You know how awkward that is when I'm on a date and I have to use the ramp to. I'll be there in a minute, babe. Means is up on a hill. I don't know. Oh, honey, let me get the door for you.
This guy's one of my favorites. I can't explain why he is, but if I need a lift, I just listen to Jeff Blue.
I know that some of you know who I am. Yeah, but I'm also well aware that maybe this is your first time seeing me. And if that's the case, then I'm pretty sure you're confused right now. This can't be the thing, right? It is good to be here. You know, I'm not from Salt Lake, but I look like I am. just another wobbly guy on the sidewalk. I'm a comedian. I made $8 walking over here. I'd like to mention I have cerebral palsy. I'd like to get that out of the way early in the show. I do talk about it a little bit. You know, there's a few reasons I talk about it. Number one is I've come to find if I don't mention it, after a little while, the audience is like, does he know? That he has that? Another big reason is everything I talk about comes from the perspective of a disabled person. Right? I mean, this is all that I've ever known. I guess I'll admit that early in my career, I tried to do my show from a Southern Belle point of view. Could never get that to play quite right, you know? Dear diary, haven't been right since Mr. Earl left.
Okay, enough fun. Oh,
You guys are a fun crowd, man.
how do I get him turned?
I can definitely say there's a few people still looking at
Pardon?
it.
The white.
Oh, it's back.
What's it with us? A midget juggler? Come on.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, guys. All right, let's talk about the third point, humor. What is humor? It's an attitude or action that gives warmth, lightheartedness, delight, or occasional laughter. It's a developed or nurtured perspective that allows taking yourself lightly while taking your work very seriously. Humor is an action or statement that is comical or amusing. I like this definition best. Humor is a discharge of surplus tension and the restoration of equilibrium, which produces a sense of well-being. Humor is also a form of communication. My dad had a tremendous sense of humor, and he loved to tease people, and he was a prankster. Whenever I was in college, we would call once a week, back before cell phones, and we would see who could tell each other the best joke. We always tried to one-up each other with humor. About 16 months before my dad died, I had this dream of Jesus and my dad coming at me like at a 45-degree angle. And in the dream, they were both laughing like one of them had just told the other one a hilarious joke. They came at me for a while, then they turned and both walked away and out of sight. And from that, I deduced that my dad was going to be with the Lord, which he did. So what is humor therapy? Humor therapy is the use of humor for the relief of physical or emotional pain and stress. It's used as a complementary method to promote health and cope with illness or difficult times. Humor actually started in the Garden of Eden when God made man and woman so differently and said, live happily ever after. And he's been laughing ever since. Adam and Seth one day went on this is Adam and Eve and Seth, went on a hike one day and they came to the top of a ridge, and the Seth looked over the top of the ridge down in the valley below, and they saw this beautiful garden with rivers and everything was lush and green and perfect. And Seth turned to Adam and said, Dad, why don't we live down there? And Adam said, son, we used to live there until your mother ate us out of house and home. That thing rings in my ear, so. Okay, in the as early as the 13th century, some surgeons used humor to distract patients from the pain of surgery. In the 1930s, scientists first began to study the physiological and psychological effects of humor on the body. The father of modern humor therapy is actually Norman Cousins. It's 8 long. His story is in his book, The Anatomy of an Illness. He documents how he used many forms of humor to cure himself of ankylosing spondylosis, which is a very painful form of arthritis. Cousins lay dying in a hospital bed at UCLA Medical Center. Doctors told him the disease was terminal and there was nothing they could do to help him, and there was nothing he could do to help himself. He had an extremely painful connective tissue disease. Well, Cousins had read Hans Selye's book on the stress of life, which deals with the power of negative emotions to induce illness. Cousins decided to investigate whether positive emotions, such as humor, could promote health. What did he have to lose? He watched multiple comedy films and took megadoses of vitamin C. Immediately after laughter, his inflammation decreased. He experienced a few hours of pain relief to the point that he could actually sleep for 2 restful, pain-free hours of sleep. With this treatment plan, he fully recovered in 6 months. Psychoneuroimmunology is the field where the mind, the body, and the spirit all interact with each other, and we are one whole instead of separate parts. So from P&I, there is more evidence that your thoughts, moods, emotions, and belief system has a fundamental impact on one's health and healing mechanisms. For example, your immune system responds favorably to positive attitudes, positive thoughts, moods, and emotions such as love, hope, optimism, caring, intimacy, joy, laughter, and humor. And your immune system also responds negatively to negative emotions such as hate, hopelessness, pessimism, indifference, anxiety, depression, and loneliness. Your sense of humor is one of the most powerful tools you have to make certain that your daily mood and emotional state support good health. Emotional changes are known to cause fluctuation in the immune system. Candace Pert, in her book, The Molecules of Emotion, found the key is in complex molecules called neuropeptides. These neuropeptides are the means by which all cells in the body communicate with each other. This includes brain-to-brain messages, brain-to-body messages, body-to-body messages, and body-to-brain messages. The kind and number of emotion-linked neuropeptides available at receptor sites influence your probability of staying well or getting sick. It's through one's emotions that you experience a connection with your thoughts and daily attitudes. It is through the neurochemical changes that accompany these emotions that your mind acquires the power to influence whether you get sick or remain well. So here's some other benefits of humor and laughter. Muscle relaxation, reduction of stress hormones, immune system enhancement, pain reduction, cardiac exercise. It reduces blood pressure and improves respiration, and it stimulates one's lymph system. And then there's the resource at the bottom. Mental health and humor. It reduces anxiety and fear. We're talking about humor now. It adds joy and zest to your life. It helps relieve stress, pain, and conflict. It improves mood. It enhances resilience. It boosts your energy level. Humor can produce a cathartic effect similar to crying, but is often more fun to laugh than to cry. Social benefits of humor. It helps get people's attention. Humor triggers positive feelings. Humor enhances emotional bonding. Mutual laughter and play are essential components of strong, healthy relationships. Humor helps diffuse conflict. Humor helps people during difficult times. Humor helps people be less defensive. So once again, science is catching up with God's Word. Psychoneuroimmunology is now showing that a merry heart does work good like medicine. When you listen to this guy, Michael Jr., he's a black comedian, and he came to our church. We'll probably invite him to your church. I don't know what his fee is. But he said that he was so poor growing up that he was sponsored by a family from Haiti. I want you to listen to how his use of humor in ministry contributes to healing.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome to the stage, you see him on
Yeah, 4718. Yeah.
I was on a show at this club in Los Angeles. In Los Angeles, there's this club called the Comedy Magic Club. So it's a very prestigious club. It's really hard for comedians to get into this club. Like every Sunday night, James Brown performs here. It's a really hard club to get into. So I'm brand new in town, and this comedian named George Wallace takes me into the club. George Wallace, you don't know who he is. My favorite George Wallace joke is he says he was in China and he bought a pair of shoes. And he looked at the bottom of them and it said, "Made right around the corner." I love George Wallace. George Wallace takes me into the club, and in the green room is Gary Shandling and Jay Leno. Now George Wallace, I'm like, oh snap, these are some soldiers in comedy. I'm just happy to be in a room with them, right? What's your gift? Make room for them. So I'm sitting there, and at the time they're working on a joke. A football player had got hit in the eye with a flag. You remember that? Got hit in the eye with a flag. He was sued to leave for like $400 million. Now Jay Leno, George Wallace, and Gary Shandling are all working on a joke for Jay Leno's monologue for the Tonight Show, like the following week. I ain't saying nothing, I'm just happy to be in the room. Then it got quiet and they looked at me. I was like, oh snap. I was like, all right, so let me see where it's right. He got hit in the eye with a flag, he lost his vision in one eye, and he's sued to leave for $400 million. He not gonna see half of it. So not long after that, I'm headlining down at the club, right? I headline there on a regular basis now. A little while back, I'm doing a show here. Right before I got on stage, God changed my mindset about comedy. When a comedian gets on stage, he wants to get what? Laughs. That's 100% true. That's exactly what I was about. God changed my mindset and said, don't go up there to get laughs from people. Go up there to give them an opportunity to laugh. You know, it changes everything. So I do my show, we have a great time. I leave, I'm outside, I'm talking to the people, they want autographs. Same thing every time I leave this club. This time I looked across the street and I saw a homeless guy. I had never seen a homeless guy outside this club before, ever. That doesn't mean he wasn't there before. It just means my mindset was to get laughter from people. So why would I even notice a homeless guy? And I noticed him, I was like, yo, what about him? How can I give him an opportunity to laugh? And the guy was like, you really want to know? I was like, nope. Then I said yes, because I was getting on the plane the next day. I said yes, and we went and did a comedy tour like no other tour before. First place we went to was Fort Worth, Texas. There's a place here called the Samaritan House. The Samaritan House takes care of people who are homeless and they have HIV. We went in there, we did a comedy show for him, and then after the show, this guy walks up to me. He wants to talk to me. Now the facilitator already told me that this guy, I think his name was Steve, he doesn't talk to anybody, but he wants to talk to me. Why would he want to talk to me? He goes on to tell me that until that night he hadn't laughed for over 20 years. I'm telling you, I almost started crying. I was like, you better back up. We leave there, we go to Montrose, Colorado, a place called the Dolphin House. The Dolphin House takes care of children who are being abused by their parents who are on drugs. And this grandmother tells me the story of her grandson. And she tells me about how he's being abused by his mom, and one of the things she's doing is she's pulling out his toenails. And she explains that her grandson is so afraid of his mom. Everywhere he goes, he wears a Spider-Man costume. Everywhere he goes. I hear his story, and I hear all these other kids' stories. And now they bring them all together. Only with God's strength was I able to get up on stage. So I get up there and I start doing comedy. I'm sitting right up front with Spider-Man full costume. I know his story and I gotta do comedy. So I start doing comedy, and an amazing thing happens when a room full of people start to laugh. You open up and reveal who you truly are. And I hear a voice come from this part of the room right here. The voice says, "My name is Roman." So the boy pulls off his mask. He introduces himself. He starts talking to me for like 9 minutes, like I'm not doing a comedy show. You talk about Spider-Man, talk about Batman. He said, Batman has a belt. And I was like, well, I got a belt too if you don't sit down somewhere, right? That's exactly what happened. The whole room laughed. In fact, it was the biggest laugh of the night. Now listen, I can guarantee you it was not in my notes to do a joke about whooping kids. In a room full of abused kids. But that was a joke that needed to be done. God knew the elephant had to leave the room. Better make time. We leave there, we go to Skid Row. A guy says to me, I've been homeless for 7 years, on crack cocaine for 5 years. I was beaten, stabbed, and left dead. So laugh, Mike Jr. Same dude had to keep himself from falling out of the chair laughing. We filmed the whole thing. We made a movie about comedy roll. Let's travel. We go to one more location. We actually go to a youth prison, go to an adult prison. The adult prison is not the film, but I gotta tell you what happens. It just shows you how God got your back. You step up here and do something to him. So we go ahead and we go to this adult prison, and I'm scared for real. I don't mind telling you us. I walk in, the warden takes my belt. He's like, you can't have a belt. Somebody might try to hang you. I'm like, can't they just boo me or something? Why gotta hang me? Because there's a real dilemma going on right now. They can either hang me with my belt, or I take the belt off and my pants is loose. There's some stuff going on in my head right now. I'm just telling you, I'm very creative. So I'm scared for real. And I need a joke immediately. I know, tonight I was all moving slow, comedy is like dating. Not in prison, nope. That analogy never came up, it never came up. I'm scared for real. Bars are open in front of me, they're closing behind me. Open in front of me, I can't run, I'm scared for real. I gotta be funny immediately, I got nothing. The joke popped in my mind, I was scared to say it. I was gonna say, you know, you guys are a captive audience. You know, I just want to say that. I was scared. I walk in, sitting right in front is a white dude with a white beard named Moses. I was like, thanks, Lord. I looked at Moses, and when I said these words, the place exploded in laughter. We had an amazing time. I looked at Moses and Moses, this is what I want you to do. I want you to look the prison warden right in his eye. Look him right in his eye, and I want you to say, let my people go.
Michael Jr., he's fantastic. Okay, how do we get out of here? Escape. Thank you. Okay. Wrong direction. What happened? Oh my. Sorry, guys.
That was funny, David.
For a captive audience.
How do I get to the end here? I need to go to the very last slide. I jokingly told my wife that there's computers in heaven, I'm asking for a transfer to some place that there's not computers. There we go. Okay, yeah, so in summary, first of all, I'm sorry I had to talk so fast because of a timing thing. But I'd like you to be encouraged. Know for sure that a cheerful heart is like good medicine. Take care of your well-being, all aspects of well-being. Be resilient, bounce back. Don't let people drag you down. Keep your heart full of joy. Maintain your sense of humor, and may the joy of the Lord be your strength. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much, David. We appreciate that. Thanks for all the work you put into that. David said that he would make available the slides if you would like to do that. So if you want to put that on your evaluation form, put your email address on there just in case we don't have it, and we'll get it to you. Thank you very much for your time and for your attention. Our next meeting is scheduled to be here on April 28th, the last Thursday in April, and I believe that is the 28th. Thank you again for coming. Look forward to seeing you next time.